There's a common idea that it takes 15 to 25 minutes to recover from a distraction when you are doing focused work. You've probably heard it. You may even have repeated it. The problem is that this figure describes how the average untrained office worker behaves. It does not describe what is possible. You can train your brain to recover from distractions faster. This should not be surprising, but it is not something most people have considered. They accept the 15 to 25 minute claim as a biological boundary and organize their entire approach to focus around avoidance, sequester themselves, silence notifications, guard the gates. Avoidance is a reasonable strategy when it's available, but it is not always available. And when it isn't, you are not helpless. Hey there, it's me, Core, and you are listening to Exercising Consistency, from fitness to flourishing. The exact figure is actually 23 minutes and 15 seconds. This comes from a 2008 study by researcher Gloria Mark. The finding was not that people sat dazed and confused for nearly half an hour after an interruption. It was that they got interrupted, pivoted to a secondary task, an urgent email, a coworker's request, and then would pivot to a tertiary task or beyond before returning to the original work. The recovery time included all those detours. Recovery time is contextual. It depends on the complexity of the task, the nature of the distraction, and your current state of mental fatigue. More importantly, that number is a description of average behavior, not a prescription for how your brain must operate. A trained mind can refocus in seconds. The brain's capacity to re-engage after interruption is governed by the executive control network. Every time you notice your mind has wandered and you consciously redirect it to the task, you are performing a mental rep. You are strengthening the same network that resists distractions in the first place. This is the same principle you apply in the gym. The body is conditioned as the mind is trained. When you return the barbell to the starting position after a failed rep, you do not punish yourself. You do not congratulate yourself. You return attention to the standard and execute again. The discipline is neutral. Reinforce or redirect. Distraction recovery works the same way. You notice the attention has drifted. You return it. No drama. Just the next rep. Here are some strategies that shorten recovery time. The single task timer. Set a defined period for focused work. The Pomodoro technique, 25 minutes of work, followed by a 5-minute break, is the most familiar version, but the duration is adjustable. If 25 minutes is too long, start with 15, 10, or even 5 minutes. During the working interval, pause periodically and ask yourself whether your mind has wandered. If it has, bring it back. You are not just getting work done. You are practicing the skill of noticing and returning. Over time, the return is less necessary and it gets faster. Mindfulness practice. As little as 10 to 12 minutes of mindfulness a few times a week trains your attention and builds resilience against distraction. The task itself is different. You are focusing on breath or sensation rather than output, but the underlying mechanism is identical. You notice the mind has wandered, you acknowledge the distraction without engaging it, and you steer attention back. It's the same mental rep performed in a quieter context. The ready, resume cue. When you see a distraction coming, an email notification you must handle, a coworker approaching, spend a few seconds writing down exactly what you were doing and what the next step is. This acts as a placeholder. Your brain receives a signal that the task is bookmarked, not abandoned. When you return, the note tells you precisely where you are. Recovery time compresses from minutes to seconds. The breathing reset. If you did not have time to leave yourself a note, do not jump straight back into the work. Take 3 deep breaths. This is not a relaxation exercise. It is a transition ritual. 3 breaths give the brain enough time to disengage from the previous context and re-engage with the task in front of you. The emotional clutter clears. The mental gears shift. Closing the loop. Whenever possible, push through to a logical stopping point before turning to the distraction. Do not leave a task in the middle of a complex thought. The brain holds incomplete tasks in working memory, a phenomenon known as the Zeigarnik effect, and that unresolved loop continues to consume cognitive resources even after you have moved on. Reach a natural break. Provide closure. Then handle the interruption. Then close that loop as well and return cleanly to the main task. Task switching and distraction recovery rely on the same executive control network. When you switch tasks, your brain must complete a 2-step process called the switch cost. It turns off the rules of the old context, then loads the rules of the new one. You cannot eliminate this cost. The brain is physically reorganizing neural connections. But with targeted practice, you can shrink the delay to seconds or even milliseconds. Interleaved practice is one way to train this. Instead of working on one type of problem for 20 minutes straight, alternate between 2 or 3 different types. This forces the brain to repeatedly unload and reload different rule sets. Task switching rituals help as well. A 30-second physical cue, changing rooms, changing music, taking 3 deep breaths. That tells the brain which mental software to load. The goal is controlled fluidity, the ability to disengage from one context and engage with another almost instantly. The skill you are building is not distraction proofing. It is recovery speed. You will get distracted. Circumstances will interrupt you. Your own mind will wander. How quickly you return attention to the standard is the goal. Train that skill. The consistency you build in the gym, returning to the bar, returning to the breath, returning to the movement, is the same consistency you apply here. The domain changes, the skill does not. If you want help building this kind of consistency into your daily practice, join the ACT Score Challenge. That's it for today. Catch you next time.